He's a busy man.
Yeah. So the first topic is really picking up from where we left off in the last show. So you remember you left the show and you say we need to get some scientists on the case. Apparently I were the scientists for the show. You get me? I say and we need to discuss
Yeah.
it. So what were you saying when you left last week's show?
Alright. So yeah, me have left on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I'm not sure how much people did I hang, but if even one or two people there hang, welcome back for the follow up. Yeah, bro. There's something that has been consistent in recent times as it relates to Jamaican football, where we see players getting to 28 and 29 and starting to not necessarily play their best, most mature, and most complete football. But this is where we see them starting to either flatline or decline as it relates to their footballing performance. And even we are talking about technical, we are talking about physical in terms of strength, speed. We are talking about health wise, starting to become more injured, and availability, and even sometimes discipline, which is weird because that type of thing should be happening in the earlier stages of your footballing career. And we see examples of it. Alpha Powell, who for me was he had a trajectory, or he was on trajectory to become one of Jamaica's best wing backs. In the likes of Ricardo Gardner, just playing on the other flank now. And me I say this man I gonna be Jamaica's right back. And you see 27 him start drop off, 28, 29 completely off the map. Alvas Powell is still a very young man, and he can't even get a look in a serious MLS setup, or he can't even get a look in the national program. And that's crazy coming from somebody in his early to mid 20s, being an MLS All Star, playing first team football, playing whole heap of games, getting team of the weeks, right? And nothing at all. I expect to say, all right, this is going to be a stalwart for the Reggae Boys and fall off,
Yeah.
unceremonious. The same thing with Kemar Lawrence, who was a bit more successful than Alpha Powell, even though Alpha Powell, showed more potential. But then the same thing with Kemar Lyons, how Kemar Taxi Lyons, the system for a very long time. You'd believe that this man is a wily veteran, touching 40 years old. But Kemar Lyons started in and out of the national team at 29 and 30,
And retire
which
before
is
I'm at
kind
30
of
or at 30, which is
yeah,
so weird.
which is kind of outrageous to me, considering that this man once again, was on trajectory to be a solid wing back, a solid player. Already playing this ton load of game for Jamaica, scoring big goals, and I said, all right, these players are players that are going to lead Jamaica into the next generation. And
Yeah.
when you think to them they're going to mesh with the next generation come. And it's not like we find suitable replacements. We knock them out of contention because I
Yeah.
don't think we found much better. But it's just that these guys don't come to fruition.
Right.
And then you move further up the field. As much as we can go on because, you know, for the last couple of years, as big a fan as I am of Damian Lowe, he hasn't been playing his best football for Jamaica.
Yep.
And that's just the simple fact. And then we move up the line, we talk about a Shaman Nicholson, who who in his early to mid 20s, seemed to be on the trajectory to be a top level championship or top five European League player or a low level Premier League player, based on how he was playing when he was in Belgium. Charlotte was just scoring goals and being one of the MVPs in the Belgian league to to a point now where not even touch 30 and struggling to maintain a first team spot in the national team, becoming a journeyman, moving from team to team to team to team, not staying healthy, not staying fit. And you wonder what going on with them Jamaican superstar talent. And we are talking about another player who, what, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
I might have predicted to have been the next Jamaican captain because I expected the longevity from Andre Blake, who is what I'd say the outlier
Yeah.
in this thing that I'm talking about right now, who is doing the complete opposite of what these players are doing. He's seemingly pushing it into his 40s, still playing football at a very
and
high level,
and
not
still being
taking
and
jobs
still being
off.
one of the best players, not even just goalkeeper, still being one of the best players in the
And
competition that he's playing in.
still being one of the best players in the competition he's been, and dare I say the best Jamaican footballer.
Yeah, but you know, say even the point where you make, bro, not forget it. Even with the point that you're making, the goalkeepers
Yeah,
were always the exception. We always have goalkeepers
yeah.
where never quite a fall
Players,
off as
some of
fast as
them
the outfield
players.
players.
But that's a natural thing in
Yeah,
football.
yep, yep,
However, the disparity between the ages. So
mm,
whereas you might find goalkeepers going up to 30, going up to 37, you see footballers being good at 29 and being good at 30. That's not what we're seeing in Jamaica. So we're still seeing the goalkeepers going up into their late 30s. But
right.
we're seeing these players break down and fall from grace before 30 years old, which is kind of outrageous to me. Because at 28 and 29 and 30, I think that's the point where you're not necessarily at your peak physically, but you're still very good physically. You're
Yeah,
still supposed to be in good condition.
yeah,
But psychologically and emotionally, your football game is supposed to be at the highest level it's ever been. And
yeah,
when those two things come together, that's when the real magic happens. And we've seen Messi play his most flashy and acrobatic football in his mid to early 20s, but in
yeah,
his late 20s to early 30s is when Messi really and truly solidified himself as the GOAT, playing GOAT level football.
right.
And not only him, but numerous other players who take football serious or just take sports serious for that matter. And as I said, it's culminated with Liam Bailey, where since 24, 25, Liam Bailey seems to be getting worse and worse. So
Yeah,
he's on plateauing peak, and then in plateau slightly, where we see him at his best for a small period, and then him start just regress and regress and
yeah.
regress.
And it's all of
And
them one time, which is so weird. Like, bro, Junior Flemings is maybe 30. Shaman Nichols
yeah,
is 28 years old. Damian
yeah,
Lowe is 31 years old.
hmm,
Alvas Paul is like 30 years old, maybe 31 years old.
yeah.
They're supposed to be the veterans and the mature players that are leading Jamaica's charge. And them
Right
sprinkle
now,
it right now, not bro, it's so right now if you tell a man,
them man, they're supposed to be the best players on the team. Yep.
of course, and right now if you tell a
Leon
man say
Bailey.
yo,
They're supposed
Alvas
to be
Powell supposed to by trajectory. And even if you mention Powell name right now in our reggae boys conversation, I want good to tell us some really, really
pretty
nasty
true.
things.
Yeah.
You get me? I said, and that is just bonkers, bro. Shaman Nichols not supposed to have fight for no game with no Warner Brown, bro. Shaman Nichols is
Mm.
28 years old. He's supposed to be in his prime. You were scoring 15 goals by January in a Belgium just 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe. How come you reach 28 years old and he has struggled to make the pitch in Mexico? You know what I mean? And not even one of the best team in Mexico. Me I talk about like middle of the pack, run of the mill. You
Yeah.
go on loan here, you go on loan there. As I said, that Junior Flemings, bro, was a contributor, a main contributor to the Reggae Boy setup. Just a World Cup cycle ago. How
The
is Junior
best player,
Flemings
best
ex-
player in the USL.
exactly? How is Junior Flemings not at the point right now where he's walking into the Reggae Boy setup? Kemar Taxler is maybe an exception, but him do the same thing too. Where him did out of the reggae boy set up by 29 years old. You
Yeah.
get me? I said Taxi maybe 32 now, 33. I'm a little bit older than them, but Taxi was out. Taxi retired from international football like 3 years now, maybe 4 years now.
And
That is
and
crazy to me, bro.
and even towards the tail end of his career, he just the game left him, as
Yeah,
them would have said.
yeah, yeah. And
So
in fact, them a
because
liability.
so you're back. Yeah.
They start to become a liability whenever we see them play for the reggae. Bro, it's so weird that it baffles me. What is the reason though? What how you account for that? Maybe if it's one player, two player, you can say, oh, just the exception, whatever. But it seems like it's all of the not it's all of the Jamaican born players, the ones that were raised
Yeah.
in
Because
Jamaica,
I was just
developed in
about to
Jamaica, peak
mention of that.
early.
Because yeah, on the contrary, we have the players who are dual nationals who seem to just last that bit much longer, or they
Yeah,
seem to play good enough football, or dare I say their best football, because it hasn't been good enough.
yeah,
But they seem to be still playing their best football consistently as the way they were playing 27, 28, 29 into their early 30s as compared to the Jamaican born and grown players who seems to fall off in their late 20s.
You
And
probably
that
have
is
to put it
something
down to
I
development, dog.
not understand.
Yeah, we probably put it down to development, but we can't say at what point in development that could be affected. Me can't, bro, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And maybe we can't say that. Come here, say maybe it's just the setup and from the JFF side of things, from the coaching side of things, we look beyond them whenever they get to a certain age. But we can't say that because them not good enough to make the squad anyways.
Yeah.
So weird. So weird, bro. Me could talk about Liam Bailey for a little bit because Liam Bailey was called back to Villa after
Mm-hmm.
having a rough time in Italy.
Yeah.
You think that's the right move to try and fight back for a spot in an Aston Villa team that is third in the Premier League, tied second in the Premier League, for second spot in the Premier League, and pushing a title charge? You think it's the best situation for Liam Bailey at the moment,
As compared to what though?
as compared to
That,
staying in Roma fighting for your spot for the rest of the season? Although maybe it's out of his hands,
yeah.
maybe I never him asked for go. But as I said,
Yeah, but even so, let's say he had some say. Let's say he was a part of the decision-making process, which probably isn't the case.
yeah,
But still at Roma, fighting for a spot in a place where he probably isn't comfortable, in a place where he's getting less exposure, um, where his game still isn't secure. Like him still not have that, that how would I say, that definitive 45 to 70 minutes every single week, week in and week out. So it's
yeah,
still a case of trying to prove himself.
yeah,
He's playing for a system, for a manager who doesn't necessarily have any familiarity with him or doesn't owe him any favors as compared to being back at Villa, where not to say Unai owes him any favors, but he's played good football for Emma before,
of
and
course,
he has shone for Aston Villa, where he at one point was one of their star men. Liam Bailey did dip on every single poster and billboard Aston Villa could have ever put on his social media.
yep,
So there's some sort of familiarity there. He's also familiar with the organization and some of the players and how Emery wants to play football. So it might be a case where he's thinking, hey, if I'm here in Italy, so much further away than I want to be, so much further away than what I'm familiar with, in a system that I'm not necessarily familiar with, playing with
yeah,
a coach who doesn't know me or has no reason to favor me, as compared to going back and still fighting from a spot, fighting back for
yeah,
favor, but
yeah,
from somebody who knows, say, yo, we did do that one at a time then. We did
hmm
score that goal
hmm
versus Liverpool. One at a time then. You get me? So
yeah,
that level of familiarity that he might have with Emery or with the Aston Villa faithful might have guided his decision
yeah,
to go back to quote unquote home. So
yeah,
not to say that he had anything to do with it, because who knows.
yeah,
But I think Roma were thinking about cancelling the loan deal. As from what I heard, there was no clause where Roma could end the deal prematurely. So maybe it was a gentleman's agreement. Roma called Villa and say, oh, hey, this now work out. When I know
hmm
what you can do. And Villa say, all right, we try again with him. I see how it go. Or it
yeah,
could be Liam Bailey say, oh, Una, what you know? Give me a chance. Bring
yeah.
me back home.
M-
Whatever the reason might be, hope
Yeah.
it work out.
More and believe say is a case where both parties became a little bit frustrated. Liam Bailey can't stay fit for a bit. Maybe and how do you even settle in Italy after having such a rough start? You get me? I say so. I think Liam Bailey is a bit unsettled. I think Roma is a bit displeased with his injury record since coming in, not getting what they want out of him. You're paying his salary. You have an option to buy, blah 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 blah. Yeah, sometimes you just want to rip up the contract and keep it moving because this is clearly not working. So I think it's a little bit of both. If I'm supposed to put man, obviously we don't know for sure, but based on Liam
Mm-hmm.
Bailey's performances or lack thereof, and then Roma's performances are Well, me can't say that there, but their performances and what they're getting from Liam Bailey, maybe both of them became a little bit frustrated. No,
Yeah.
I don't see a way where Liam Bailey breaks back into this Aston Villa team, bro. Aston Villa is flying, and Unai Emery at the moment, obviously, he might be a little bit modest whenever them ask him about title charges, but I don't know if it's the time right now to bed in back someone. Yes, he was a star for you, but you're doing well right
One
now, and
night
don't
time. Yeah.
one at a time. Me not know if at the time for try and
Yeah.
usher him back in. Sancho a play a little ball, Buendia a play a little ball, Rogers a play a little ball. Like the man him a
Yeah.
play a ball, bro. You get me? I say so. Me not know if at the time for Liam Bailey. Liam Bailey just in a pick right now, bro. And this could be the beginning of the end. Me think him need for go when him drop back a Villa, bro. Him need to start playing best football. Liam Bailey was a couple months older than we, bro. Liam Bailey is supposed to be in
Yeah.
his prime. You get me? I say, as him drop a Villa, I'm supposed to play best football. I'm supposed to start doing the hardest. Cause him career, I see a world where after this year, Liam Bailey's career take a turn for the worse because him just can't get on the park because of injury and because of the quality of his team. If Villa go for win and the formula work, I don't know if it is the time to give Liam Bailey a chance. And even if he might get a chance, it's gonna be 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Yeah,
You get,
and
it's a rough situation.
it a be no wait no, and it a go be when the club absolutely needs it,
Okay,
which is a big, it's a lot of pressure to add.
yeah. And that don't
So
deliver, no.
it's going to be a tough ask coming back to Villa,
It's
but
tough, bro. It's tough, and I wish him all the best because Liam Bailey is a player that I like, and I want to see um a lot from. I want to see him do well. Is me? But at the moment, it just not
like
go
or
on.
not, Jamaica need Leon Bailey to be playing good football to qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, yeah.